In the sprawling plains of Dakota, the cowgirl was known for her fierce spirit and remarkable skills. She was born into a family of ranchers, growing up riding horses and tending to cattle from a young age. Every sunrise brought new adventures as she helped with the herd, her laughter ringing out across the fields. She had a special bond with her horse, Star, who was more than just a companion. He was her partner in every thrilling ride. Her days were filled with the hard work of ranch life, but she loved every moment spent under the vast, open sky. She learned to rope and ride with grace, becoming a well-respected wrangler among her peers. The way she handled the wild broncs was admired by many. She had a natural talent that left onlookers in awe. Her strength and determination made her a figure of inspiration for young girls who dreamed of life on the range. Despite the rough conditions, she felt truly alive in the saddle. The wind in her hair and the dust swirling around her created a sense of freedom that was hard to match. She took pride in caring for her family's land and animals, understanding the delicate balance that came with ranching. However, she also knew that life on the prairie could be unpredictable. The cowgirl's heart belonged to Dakota, where she felt at home among the whispers of grass and the calls of distant cattle. But little did she know that everything was about to change. A challenging winter loomed ahead, one that would test her spirit in ways she could never imagine. The season's harsh grip would lead to an accident that would dramatically alter her life as she knew it. One crisp morning in 1882, the sun had just risen over the Dakota plains, casting a golden hue across the landscape. The cowgirl was eager to participate in the local rodeo, a chance to show off her skills and take on the wild broncs. She felt exhilarated as she mounted a particularly spirited horse known for its strength and speed. The crowd gathered, their cheers filling the air with energy and excitement. With her heart racing, she took a deep breath and focused on the task at hand. The moment the gate swung open, the bronc leaped out with surprising force, bucking wildly. She struggled to maintain her balance but used all her training to hold on tight. For a brief moment, she felt invincible, flying through the air as if she belonged there. However, in an instant everything changed. As the horse twisted and turned, it bucked her off with a ferocious shove. Time seemed to slow as she tumbled helplessly to the ground. A loud crack could be heard when her body met the hard earth. Pain shot through her leg. Attempts to rise only intensified the agony. She soon realized something was terribly wrong. Her hip had broken. With help from fellow ranchers, she was lifted away from the arena. This was not only an injury, it was a shattering blow to her independence and her dreams. Unable to walk and manage her herd, she watched helplessly as her cattle wandered away into the vast plains without her guidance. In those painful moments of recovery, uncertainty clouded her mind. The bright future she had envisioned for herself began to feel like a distant memory lost among those endless fields. Little did she know that this accident would lead her down an unexpected path that would change her life forever. As the weeks passed after the rodeo accident, winter settled fiercely over Dakota. The once vibrant landscape transformed into a bleak and icy realm, blanketed in thick layers of snow that sparkled under the pale sun. The biting cold seeped into every crevice of her small cabin, making life unbearable for the injured cowgirl. With her hip broken, she was unable to venture outside or tend to her animals, and her spirit began to wane under the heavy weight of loneliness. Each day became a struggle for survival. Supplies were dwindling, and while she had always been resourceful, her current state left her with few options. She could hear the howling winds outside, a constant reminder of the stormy weather that made it impossible for anyone to reach her. The solitude was deafening. Not even the familiar sounds of cows or horses broke the silence anymore. As snow piled higher against her door, she couldn't help but feel like she was trapped in a prison of winter. With no way to fetch food or firewood, she faced the harsh reality of starvation. Her meals became limited to whatever meager provisions she had hoarded before the accident. Days blurred together as hunger gnawed at her, making it difficult to focus on anything other than finding warmth and sustenance. The sparkle in her eyes dimmed with each passing hour as worries about her dying herd haunted her thoughts. Would they survive without her care? In this frozen world, despair began clouding her hopes. Yet amidst the chilling winds and relentless snow, there resonated a faint flicker of determination deep within her heart. She remembered how she had always faced challenges head-on. This would be no different, even if survival felt like an uphill battle now. Little did she know that help would soon arrive when she least expected it, setting in motion a journey toward recovery and renewal. As the biting winds howled across the frozen landscape, a wealthy cowboy named Hank rode through the snow-laden trails of Dakota. He was well known in the region, not just for his successful ranch, but also for his kind heart. This winter, he felt a deep urge to help those struggling against the harsh conditions. With blankets stacked high in his wagon, he set out on a mission to deliver warmth and comfort to families living in remote shacks scattered throughout the plains. Hank had always admired the resilience of those who lived off the land, especially the ranchers and cowboys who braved the elements. As he rode along, he thought of how many might be suffering from the frigid weather and dwindling supplies. He couldn't shake the feeling that there might be someone in dire need of help, perhaps even a fellow rancher who hadn't been able to prepare for the severity of winter. As he approached each small cabin, he knocked on doors and called out to see if anyone needed assistance. Every time he heard no response, a sense of urgency pushed him to go further, deeper into the snowy landscape. His heart ached at the thought of someone being stranded or alone, especially during such a merciless season. It was during one of these stops that he spotted smoke curling above the trees in the distance. Curiosity sparked within him, and he guided his horse toward it, hoping to find someone who needed aid. Little did he know that this would lead him to the injured cowgirl whose spirit had begun to fade as she fought against the weight of winter alone. As he drew closer, Hank felt a mix of anticipation and concern. Perhaps today would be the day he could make a difference in someone's life. As Hank approached the cabin, he noticed a thin plume of smoke rising from the chimney. It was a sign of life, and his heart raced with hope. He dismounted his horse and trudged through the deep snow, each step heavy with anticipation. With a firm knock on the door, he called out, "Hello? Is anyone home?" Silence hung in the frigid air for a moment before he heard a faint voice calling back. "Come in, please." The voice sounded weak and strained. Hank opened the door cautiously and stepped inside, immediately hit by the warmth from the small fire crackling in the hearth. His eyes quickly adjusted to the dim light, and there she was, the injured cowgirl. She sat propped against a stack of blankets, her face pale and tired. Hank's heart sank at the sight of her suffering. "What happened?" he asked urgently as he rushed to her side. She glanced down at her leg, which was bandaged but clearly not healed. "I broke my hip during a rodeo," she replied softly, trying to keep her composure despite the pain etched on her face. Concern flooded Hank's mind as he assessed her condition. "You shouldn't be alone out here in this weather," he said firmly. "I'm here to help you." He quickly began unpacking blankets from his wagon, ensuring she had enough warmth to stave off any chills that winter brought. With gentle hands, Hank made sure she was comfortable and offered her some food from his supplies. She needed nourishment more than anything right now. "Stay strong," he encouraged her as he spoke with determination. "You're not alone anymore." In that moment, as they locked eyes, an unspoken understanding passed between them. They were both warriors in their own battles against winter's cruelty. Hank knew he had found someone worth fighting for and felt a sense of purpose settle within him as they began to plan for her recovery together. As Hank assessed the situation, he knew that staying in the cabin was not a long-term solution. The bitter cold of winter could easily drag her spirit down further, and her healing needed more than just warmth and food. "I'm going to carry you to my ranch," he declared with unwavering resolve. The cowgirl looked at him wide-eyed, unsure if it was possible. "Can you manage?" she asked, her voice shaky but filled with a flicker of hope. Hank smiled gently, demonstrating the strength he had built through years of working on his ranch. "I've lifted heavier cattle than you," he joked lightly but with genuine confidence. He knew this was about more than just physical strength. It showed commitment to someone who truly needed him. With tender care, he picked her up, cradling her in his arms like a precious treasure as he stepped outside into the frigid air. The wind whipped around them, but Hank's warmth wrapped around her like a protective shield. She nestled against him, feeling both vulnerable and safe, a feeling she hadn't known for a long time. As they made their way through the deep snow, each step was a testament to their budding bond. Hank felt her heartbeat quicken in his arms, not just from the cold but from the thrill of being carried to safety. He whispered words of encouragement along the way, telling her stories about life on his ranch and how together they would overcome this challenging winter. Despite her pain and fear, she couldn't help but feel gratitude blooming in her heart toward this cowboy who had arrived when she needed help most. It wasn't just about survival, it was about forging a connection that would change both their lives forever. As they moved through the snowy landscape together, the weight of uncertainty began to lift from her shoulders, replaced by an unexpected sense of hope. Once they reached Hank's ranch, the cowgirl began her journey of rehabilitation. The warmth and safety of the home made a world of difference, but she knew that healing would require hard work and determination. Hank was dedicated to helping her regain her strength and independence, recognizing that the road ahead would not be easy. One day, he returned from town with iron crutches in hand. "These will help you get around while your hip heals," he explained, showing her how to adjust them for her height. She watched with a mix of excitement and apprehension, knowing that using crutches would be a new challenge. "Let's give it a try," Hank encouraged, his eyes filled with encouragement. With his patient guidance, she gradually stood up, balancing herself carefully on the crutches. At first, it felt awkward and clumsy, but Hank stayed close, ready to catch her if she stumbled. "You've got this," he assured her, his voice steady and warm. Every step forward felt monumental, even if it was just a few shaky inches at a time. As the days progressed, she grew more confident. Hank celebrated each small victory with her, a smooth step here, a longer distance there. He taught her how to maneuver over different surfaces and even how to pivot when turning corners. With every practice session, laughter often replaced frustration as they shared stories about their lives. She discovered that Hank had a playful side, making the arduous task feel lighter. Through this process, she learned not only how to use the crutches but also how to harness her inner strength and resilience. It became clear to both of them that this was more than just physical rehabilitation, it was about building deeper trust and connection. Each day spent together solidified their bond as they worked toward a shared goal, her recovery and newfound independence. As winter began to thaw outside, hope blossomed within the walls of the ranch, marking the beginning of a new chapter in both their lives. As the days turned into weeks, Hank recognized that physical recovery was only part of the cowgirl's journey. He wanted to ensure she could manage the ranch independently once she was back on her feet. One afternoon, as they settled in by the fire after practice with her crutches, he broached the subject of bookkeeping. "I think it's time we start learning some important skills," Hank said, pulling out a ledger and some basic accounting tools. "Managing a ranch isn't just about riding horses and tending to cattle, there's a lot of paperwork involved too." The cowgirl looked at him curiously, intrigued but unsure. "Bookkeeping? I've never done anything like that before," she confessed. Hank smiled reassuringly. "That's why I'm here. I'll teach you everything you need to know, step by step." He began with the basics of recording expenses and income, explaining how every ranch depended on careful tracking to stay afloat. They started with simple tasks like listing supplies and estimating costs, gradually moving on to more complex concepts. At first, she felt overwhelmed by the numbers and columns, but Hank's patient teaching style made it easier for her to grasp the material. They spent hours together, laughing over mistakes and celebrating small successes. With each lesson, the cowgirl began to see how these skills would empower her to take charge of her future. As she learned about balancing budgets and managing resources, a sense of confidence began to blossom within her. She realized that understanding the finances behind the ranch was just as crucial as caring for the animals. This newfound knowledge not only helped her feel more capable, but also solidified her role as an integral part of the home Hank had offered her. With every ledger entry and calculation she completed, she felt stronger and more independent. Little did she know that these lessons were preparing her not just for managing a ranch, but for shaping her future and reclaiming the life she had once known. As the weeks wore on and the harshness of winter began to fade, the relationship between Hank and the cowgirl blossomed into something special. They found themselves naturally gravitating toward shared tasks around the ranch, Hank teaching her how to care for the animals once more, while she helped him with bookkeeping. Each day brought new experiences that forged a bond built on trust, respect, and camaraderie. One sunny afternoon, they set off to check on a herd of cattle grazing in a nearby field. With her crutches in hand, the cowgirl moved alongside Hank, her laughter mingling with the sounds of nature. "I used to be scared of cattle," she admitted as she carefully maneuvered to keep pace. "But now I feel like I can face them with you by my side." Hank smiled, buoyed by her growing confidence. "What do you dream of doing once you're fully back on your feet?" he asked casually, sparking a conversation that opened up a deeper connection between them. She paused for a moment, glancing at the sweeping hills before them. "I want to have my own ranch one day." Hank listened intently as she explained her aspirations. Inspired by her dreams, he shared his own visions for expanding his ranching business and creating a space where both of their strengths could shine. Over time, they celebrated small victories together. Each successful task completed was not just a step toward recovery but also a solidifying moment for their friendship. Whether they were fixing fences or tending to animals, every encounter was layered with laughter, encouragement, and mutual respect. Hank marveled at her resilience while she admired his generosity and dedication to helping her regain independence. As spring approached and flowers began to bloom, it became clear that this journey had woven their lives together in ways neither expected. Each shared success and heartfelt conversation deepened their bond. Together they were not only healing from past wounds but also dreaming of a future filled with hope, partnership, and possibility. One sunny afternoon, with the first signs of spring hanging in the air, Hank gathered the courage to discuss a pivotal decision that had been on his mind for quite some time. They were sitting on the porch, enjoying the warmth of the sun after a morning of work. The cowgirl leaned back in her chair, feeling lighter than she had in a long while, her strength and confidence blossoming alongside the flowers around them. "Hank, I really feel like I'm getting stronger," she said, her voice filled with newfound conviction. "I can handle more responsibilities now." Hank smiled, encouraged by her words. He had witnessed her transformation firsthand, from a girl who had once felt helpless to a capable and aspiring ranch manager. Taking a deep breath, he turned toward her, his expression serious yet warm. "I've been thinking about that," he began. "You've made incredible progress, and I believe it's time for you to take on even more." He paused for emphasis, gauging her reaction before continuing. "How would you feel about running this ranch and my home?" The cowgirl's eyes widened in surprise and excitement. "Hank, are you serious?" She could hardly believe what she was hearing. It was as if he was handing her the reins to the life she had lost after her injury. "Absolutely," he replied earnestly. "I've seen how hard you've worked, not just in tending to animals but in learning the business side too. You have what it takes to make this place thrive." His words were sincere, and in that moment she knew he genuinely believed in her potential. With emotions swirling inside her, joy mingled with responsibility. She nodded eagerly. "I'd love that. It feels like a second chance." The thrill of being trusted with such an important role filled her heart with determination. Together, they spent the rest of the day planning how they would not only run the ranch but also mold it into a place where both of their dreams could flourish. As they mapped out their new future together, an exhilarating sense of possibility filled the air around them. Their partnership not only confirmed their mutual respect but also cemented their bond deeper than ever before. With the weight of Hank's proposal still fresh in her mind, the cowgirl sat outside on the porch, feeling the warmth of the sun against her skin. The landscape before her was bursting with the colors of spring, a sharp contrast to the icy grip of winter she had endured just weeks before. As she watched the flowers bloom, she felt a surge of determination coursing through her veins. Taking on the responsibility of running the ranch was no small feat, but she was ready for this challenge. It was a chance to reclaim not only her independence but also her identity, a journey from feeling like a burden to becoming a pillar of strength. "I won't let you down, Hank," she whispered quietly to herself, her resolve strengthening with each passing moment. In the days that followed, she immersed herself in every aspect of ranch life. From early morning till dusk, she worked alongside Hank, tending to the animals and learning about the intricacies of ranch management. Each task pushed her boundaries further than before, but with every challenge came newfound confidence. She learned how to make decisions and solve problems that arose daily, sometimes with laughter at mistakes and other times through hard lessons learned. As they worked side by side, Hank frequently reminded her of how far she had come. "You're not just healing physically," he told her one evening as they counted supplies in the barn. "You're becoming someone who can lead." His words echoed in her mind as she began envisioning what their future together might look like, a thriving ranch where both their dreams could flourish. Reflecting on her journey from isolation during that harsh winter to this moment filled her heart with gratitude and pride. She realized that embracing this new role was not simply about running a ranch. It symbolized overcoming adversity and stepping into a life defined by resilience and hope. With each day, she grew more empowered, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, as both an individual and a partner beside Hank. Together, they would build not just a successful ranch but a vibrant life filled with promise. As the spring sun began to warm the Dakota plains, the transformation of both Hank and the cowgirl came full circle. Once lonely and lost, the cowgirl now stood resolutely at the helm of the ranch, a place she had come to view not just as a job but as a cherished home. Her determination to thrive despite adversity had shaped her into an empowered individual who embraced her independence with confidence. Hank, too, had found his purpose within their partnership. Initially motivated by a desire to help, he had grown into a mentor and friend, discovering fulfillment in guiding someone else toward success. Watching the cowgirl step into her role was a source of pride for him. Together they were crafting a future filled with hope and promise. He felt invigorated by their shared dreams and mutual respect, realizing that their connection had become something extraordinary. One afternoon, as they worked together to plant new crops in the fertile soil, Hank paused to admire the landscape that lay around them. "Look at what we've built," he said, gesturing at their flourishing environment. It wasn't just a ranch, it was a living symbol of their resilience, an embodiment of their dreams and hard work. With each project they completed, they celebrated small victories and leaned on one another through challenges. They formed a new family unit, one rooted in trust and understanding. The cowgirl had gained not just responsibilities but a deep sense of belonging, a feeling that she mattered and was valued. As they settled into their roles within this new chapter, they looked forward to the adventures ahead. Together, they would nurture not only crops but also each other's growth, transforming past hardships into a shared legacy of strength and love. Their story was one of triumph over despair, illustrating the power of connection in overcoming life's obstacles. With every sunset painting the sky, they knew that brighter days awaited them side by side on their beloved ranch.